So I'm waiting before I can see something happening. Listening to my audio in YouTube. As soon as I start listening we get started, because it takes little time before this thing can get pushed by the LinkedIn server. Hi everyone. Okay, so looks like it is working now. I can close this. So welcome everyone for the session on our PMP related queries. This is our 9th episode, and as usual, I am taking one of the tasks. We are still going through people domain tasks, so we'll pick up. Today the task seems to be a little lightweight, but still we don't know. And once it is done, then we can have a Q&As, and you can have questions related to your PMP certification or preparation. You can also go beyond what is presented in the task. It is open thing, but yes, if you have specific query related to the tasks, then you handle the task related query first, and then we go to the other details. So I'm your facilitator, Saket Bansal. I have been teaching project management for a while, and right now I am focusing on helping you to navigate exam content outline for your PMP exam. So as usual, I get started. Hopefully you all can hear me well and we are connected. If you are joining on LinkedIn, you can type your query, question, hi, whatever it is on the LinkedIn chat. And if you are on a YouTube, you can do the same. It will reach me and then I can take it from there. So any question, comment, feel free to put it there. Now, before we get into open Q&A, as before, I start our prepared content first. So I'm sharing my screen and we'll talk about the topic which we have picked up for today. Present screen. Okay. Now, hopefully you can see my screen. I can see my feedback. Thank you, Vivek, for giving the feedback. Yes, thank you. Okay, so today we are focusing on mentor relevant stakeholders. It's a task 13 of your PMP exam content outline. If you are watching this session first time, then I give a little introduction to PMP exam content outline. And if you are our regular visitor, then you know what this whole thing means. From a PMI perspective, the PMP exam is based on exam content outline. And the exam content outline is prepared by PMI based on what they believe, based on their periodic research, the things the project manager is expected to do in the industry. So the exam content outline have various kind of tasks that should be done, this should be done, this should be done. And then the PMP exam test you on those tasks by way of putting multiple choice or different type of questions. Now, the whole content outline is divided into 3 areas. They call it domain, people, process, and business. And each has set of tasks. People has a 14, process has 17, and business has 4. We have already covered 4 business tasks. We have already covered 4 tasks from people domain. And today we are covering our 5th task, but the task number 13, we are not going in exact sequence. We are picking up task number 13 today. If you want to see the previous task related conversation, you can feel free to check our previous videos, which are available on YouTube as well as in LinkedIn space. So the task 13, which is coming under people domain, the people domain overall gives us 42% marks, and 14 tasks are there. So one of that task is focusing on mentoring relevant stakeholders, allocate time to mentoring, and recognize and act on mentoring opportunities. So as a project manager, you should do mentoring. Now, the previous week, we spoke about training, and now this time we are talking about mentoring. Both of these tasks are basically focusing on that project manager should work in order to develop good kind of skills in their team members, the technical competency and the emotional intelligence competency, so that the team members can really perform well and can produce project objective. So in order to get project objective met as a project manager, I need to keep developing people. And we spoke about some of the assumption in our previous session. I recommend it should be looked at because they set the right mindset, which is a pure belief of a project manager that developing people is the key to success. I don't have any shortcut. I need to keep investing my time and energy in developing people. So that's a basic assumption we are working with. Now, before I go into this task, as you see, it's a small task. Let's have a clarity about the difference between term mentoring, training, and coaching. Many times these terms are used interchangeably as well. And maybe in the question also, we need to be a little careful what is the real meaning of it, because some of the alternative may change based on what is done. Now, in general, all these three things help us in helping individuals, teams, stakeholders in improving their performance. They are kind of different kind of intervention. I have a set of group, I have a people, and I need to do something so that their performance, their skills, their attitude improves. So training is a type of intervention where a trainer goes with a specific agenda, specific set of knowledge. It has a short-term focus. It has a clear start time and end time. The training is expected to be well organized. The agenda should be given in the advance. So the content and the focus is pretty well understood. And the person may conduct workshop of sometime on-job training as well, but facilitate the overall a type of knowledge and some amount of skill development. So training is all about a communicating set of ideas, knowledge, theory, so the participants understands them. And that's the objective of training. Whereas a mentoring is little long-term relationship. It is a focus on providing guidance, experience sharing, nurturing the person related to a particular domain area. So I might be mentoring someone on the technology or say engineering activities. I keep guiding them how to do the things. Usually, if you are a senior leader, team leader, and you have a team member, the team leaders are expected to keep mentoring team members. So the team members can do better problem solving, they can identify the issues faster, and they can also produce better performance for themselves as well as for the team. So mentoring, it is not a very defined agenda. It is not like today I want to teach this thing to my team member. I don't have any clear intention. And whenever my team member gets stuck on something, they come to me. I provide one-on-one meeting. I share experience. I provide advising. So mentoring is about continuous investment in the mentee, the other guy, by way of sharing expertise, giving them very specific instructions or advices, and helping the mentee, the receiving person, to develop a particular skill or competency by applying the knowledge in a multiple time. So they really develop a muscle so that they can do the things in a better way. So training might be a starting point. Say, I don't know anything about a particular technology. I first start with getting trained in it. Then I start doing things and I have a mentor who can support me. If I have it as a project manager, I can provide that mentor to my team members who can help them so that they can really develop proficiency in that particular competency area. So that's a mentoring part of it, which is focus here. Now, sometimes we also see a word coaching. Though in our PMP exam content outline, we don't have a very specific word coming as coaching. But in general, in the questions, you can see this word. Coaching is mostly misunderstood and always get confused with mentoring. But there is a specific difference in the idea of coaching. The coach is expected to create self-awareness and help the individual to find their own answers. So in the case of mentoring, the mentor provides the answer. In case of coaching, the coach facilitates thought process by way of asking powerful question, by way of listening to the problem, by way of making the person reflect on their assumption, so that person can discover their own solutions and actions. It can be short term, it could be long term. The coach doesn't have to be expert in that particular area, because coach is not sharing experience. Coach is not advising the person. Coach is more or less a thinking facilitator. The coach assumes the person who is coming to them has all the skills, and they are helping them to discover the hidden assumptions, hidden areas in the coach's mind, which can help the coachee to find out the right questions and the right answers for their problem. So you can say that if the person is already skilled, the person is knowing their job well, but they are blocked because of their attitude of solving the problem, or they have some habit of doing things in a wrong way, and they want to change their habit, they want to improve their attitude on about the work. That time the coaching can help. It is not like you don't have to give a specific skill or knowledge. It is just that you need to help the person to see their own pattern and improve on that. So that's a coaching part of it. Now, as a project manager, me may also become a trainer, mentor, and coach, yeah, as an individual myself. And I am expected to provide training and mentoring coaching in all the areas to my team member by way of working with other mentors, trainers, and coaches. So I need to do both the things. I myself, for a PMP exam perspective, can train, mentor, and coach people when it comes to project management related topics. So I can say that how to handle things, how to manage conflicts, how to give feedback to each other, how to work using agile, how to put the things into issue log, or how to have a proper reporting. All those things I can mentor, I can train. So whenever you see these kind of things, you can always assume the project manager can also train and mentor in the project management space. When you deal with senior stakeholders, someone who is a product manager, who is a senior stakeholder, they know about their domain well, and they are finding some difficulty in interacting with the team members, and you are not expert there, then usually you try to take coaching stance, because we, as a PMP exam, we are not expecting that you have an expertise in other than project management areas to mentor and train. In the other areas, you can probably listen to the stakeholder, ask them right question, and you can probably coach them. So we need to understand that expertise needed for training, mentoring. The training is a short-term thing, the mentoring is a long-term thing, and coaching is more like say emotional intelligent listening and asking powerful question so that it helps the other person to reflect better. So this is like a basic thing. Now somebody will say, why I'm doing it? Going back to our previous conversation, which we did in our previous session, if some of you are part of it. So we have a stakeholders, and we understand from a PMI perspective, it includes project team and other stakeholder, user, customers, sponsors, and all. There is a cash box which gives a nice kind of presentation that in order to improve somebody's performance, you need to work on 4 areas: knowledge, skills, attitudes, and habits. Just giving a knowledge of doing how to code not necessarily makes someone good coder. Just having skill to code, but the person is not allocating right time, person is casual about it, not taking a systematic approach, may not also make the person good coder. So I need to have a knowledge, I need to have a skill. Skill is a ability to apply the knowledge in a real-time situation. I need to have a competency. And then I need to have a right attitude, and the attitude comes by default in me, habit. So I have a good habits which produce a better results. So as per this cash box, any individual's performance are dependent on these 4 areas. Now, why should I worry as a project manager? Because I need to develop all these 4 areas in my team members. So I can say that, yes, I do it. I probably focus on knowledge by way of facilitating training to my people. I focus on mentoring in order to develop skills, also at some level improving attitude, but attitude and habit majorly might be triggered with the help of coaching intervention. So the person has, the basic assumption is the person has a training and skills, the knowledge and skills. Now I need to just improve habits and attitudes. I can do a coaching kind of intervention. So again, related to previous content, it is all about I need to learn mentoring, training, and coaching. All are 3 types of intervention. And as a project manager, I need to apply appropriate intervention whenever needed. So this is little theory before we go to a specific task. Now, this specific task can be summarized in just one slide. It is basically focusing on that I need to recognize mentoring opportunities. Now, you can also say it could be a training and coaching also, though the task is basically about mentoring. I need to recognize what kind of intervention and what kind of need my team member has. I need to continuously recognize, and then I need to plan it and then execute it, and then keep checking it and repeating this loop. So that's what I need to do as a project manager. Now here I am giving some of the examples which may come from other tasks and other areas which relate here. So as a project manager, I need to support team members' performance. I need to support teams. So when I am looking at someone's performance, we are looking what is expected from them, what they are doing right now. I can recognize a need for training and mentoring. When I'm working with a team and it is going through a development stage, maybe it's a storming stage and I want to take it a norming stage, or I see that there is a lack of collaboration, when I check with the team, I can also recognize mentoring and training opportunity when I am working with a team. When I'm working with the stakeholders other than team, the supporting change. So it's like I have a product and the product will go into the market or in the customer base, and there are customers who are expected to use it. There are users who are expected to use it. And now I need to mentor and train them by way of understanding what is their current knowledge and skills and attitude towards things, and what is the desired knowledge, skills, and attitude we need in order to move to a new way of working. So as a project manager, I need to recognize if our deliverable, whatever deliverable we are producing incrementally, requires a managing of the change or influencing people to come to the new way of working, then also I need to recognize mentoring and training opportunity. I need to support overall conversation and engagement. While doing informal or formal conversation, we may recognize that there is a mentoring or training opportunity. So continuously keep looking at the ideas, the required environmental changes, which may bring some kind of new competency needed in the individuals, or based on what we expect from our stakeholder, like moving from one way of working to another, we may require supporting change kind of recognition of mentoring opportunities as well. So I keep doing that. Now, plan perspective, you can have, again, there is no very strict guideline in the PMP exam perspective. We can do formal mentoring plan. You can have a formal coaching plan. You can say training plan, mentoring plan, coaching plan, which may talk about formally recognizing mentors and mentees, having some formal cadence or interaction schedule that every week you need to talk to each other and provide advices, and some mechanism of collecting feedback at the end of a month. So that could be one of the possible way of coming up with a formal mentoring process. There could be informal mentoring process as well, where we have some mentors and team leaders identified. Whenever people get stuck, they can go to them and seek advices. And in general, the informal mentoring process usually exists. I won't say always, usually exists in various teams. Whenever you get stuck, you go somewhere and you take advices. So I can also have some people recognized in the areas of subject matter experts, and we can create people the environment that these are the one who can be a go-to person. Sometimes these go-to person could be your stakeholders also. So say we have a compliance requirement, we have a compliance related stakeholder, not a direct team member, but we can recognize that person as a mentor, and whenever we have an issue in a team member, we have a working agreement with the person and we can go and take advice from them. We can also plan job shadowing, especially with the stakeholders and team members. It may also be an important tool when you are supporting change, where someone is doing the work and other person is with them, and they can help them in observing what they are doing and correcting them if they are not doing it rightly. It may be a little bit of overlap of training and mentoring there, because it might be a very specific duration activity, but some amount of training and mentoring overlap keeps happening, and that can develop the competency. While you are doing supporting the change, you can also support the help desk. You end up setting up the knowledge base help desk place where people can go for seeking advice, and they can call for seeking advice whenever they get stuck in a particular area. You can also plan group mentoring sessions. So it is not always a one-on-one mentoring. Maybe you bring people together, and where some experienced people are expected to share their experience. They can demonstrate a particular skill. For example, you want to educate a group that how to take customer call. You can bring the people, they can sit in a group, and the person who is mentoring them performs a customer call in front of them, and then he or she explains what he did and ask them what are their advices for various situations. And by way of handling or showing them a real-time demo and helping them in taking their feedback in between, I am mentoring on a how to handle calls well as a group also. So it could be a group mentoring activity as well, which may look like a training, but the idea is not very defined agenda. That's the difference. And it is more about sharing the experience rather than just focusing on a theory or a topic. So these kind of activities can be planned, and then you do it. So that's the simple thing. So you do one-on-one mentoring, you do group mentoring, those things you do. Another thing, when you are acting, is that as a project manager, we don't do anything without feedback. So we must have a feedback to understand how our mentoring activities are helping us. So we can talk about the lesson learned meeting or a retrospective meeting. We can look at and identify mentoring needs, and those meetings can also work as an opportunity to do a mentoring, and they can also help us in improving our mentoring or coaching activities. The another question may come, how do we measure the effectiveness of a mentoring? So actually, as we discussed about training effectiveness also, improvement in the performance, producing right deliverable, making the impact for our business delivery, value delivery is the best way of measuring that. If I see that option, I choose that. If I don't have that, then I can also go for some subjective effectiveness assessment where I may ask all the mentees that how well you got treated, how well you got feedback, what do you think about the assistance you got from mentor. So we can have a periodic subjective assessment, and based on that, we can identify, do we need to schedule more mentoring session, or we can say that this is not needed anymore. Yeah, so that could be another way of measuring the effectiveness of mentoring. You do need to facilitate stakeholder and team interaction. That's another informal mentoring process where you can help the people to participate in various milestone reviews, in various demos, which can create an informal connect between stakeholders and the team, and that can also work as a mentoring opportunity. So super high level, it's a small topic. I think you can probably end up seeing 2-3 questions out of it because it's a mentoring topic. You may not be able to recognize question very clearly because the mentoring and the previous topic training may have a mix mode. Both these topics coming together should give you around 4 to 8 questions. Exactly we can't predict because PMI is only giving us domain-wise grouping rather than task-wise grouping, but these are important questions and the topic for your PMP exam. Usually the traditional PMP content may not get into the details of mentoring training in at that extent, but you understand in the new project management, people development is a focus area and you need to focus on these things. So this is all about the mentoring training part. And now we can take your generic questions related to your PMP certification. So I have a question here. As a fresher project manager, how will get experience? So say this is a problem for any domain, be it a project management, be it an engineer, be it a tester. Always you go and you see that experienced people are needed and you wonder, how do I get an experience? Yeah, that's the generic thing. So say I need to build my competency. I need to make sure that I know my knowledge and skill I work on. And then based on knowledge and skill, I bring some differentiator. I am willing to be more flexible, willing to take more big challenges. And that is where I get a break about it. Now, in general, the project management is a little a role which expect experience. So even for PMP exam, the PMI expect that you should have a 3 years of experience of working as a project manager. So in general, we may not find a project manager's freshers positions open. That's most unlikely, but exceptions can be there. Because it required you to develop a people handling skills and stakeholder management skills, and overall then you can probably can be trusted for delivering a group of value for the business. But yes, you can find out as a team member. So whichever project you want to work in, you get inside as a team member, as a contributor, and then you keep developing your project management skills and then you move forward there. PMP exam is good thing once you have some amount of team leadership experience. Some people also take a project coordinator route. So like you support the project manager rather than you target yourself as a project manager. And again, you develop your skills and competency for that. And then we move forward. Yeah. Okay, so we go another question. So what are the techniques need to be used in case if you want to teach the business sponsor who funds the project manager? So in general, we keep in mind that teaching should be for providing the knowledge. Now, if there is a knowledge gap, for example, the business sponsor is unable to produce a report, which they need, and they are always giving a call to us, and rather than taking report themselves, then you can definitely teach them and say, why don't I give you a quick demo which can like easy your life. That's the one thing. But for a PMP exam perspective, mostly the senior stakeholder related engagement will be a coaching engagement. So it may be that you can ask them powerful question, you can listen to them. Listening is the most important. So you deal with the senior stakeholder by listening them first, by understanding their concerns and issues, and then helping them to see what best can be done with the help of project. So it's more about coaching approach rather than teaching, mentoring, because teaching and mentoring I do to those people who are lacking the skills and competency. So where does the relationship management comes in this topic? I have worked as a project manager last few years, and relationship management worked as a key area. Yes, it's a key area. Yeah. There are a lot of tasks related to people domain. We just pick up the one. There are another 13 tasks. And in a simple word, the 42% people domain area is about relationship management only. So in the project management world, we are talking about engaging stakeholders. So our few of the previous tasks, if you get a time to see, working with the business stakeholder covers a little bit more detail about it. So it's all about identifying the right stakeholders, understanding who are the important, what kind of communication strategy to be followed with them, how do we continuously keep engaging with them and keep assessing their engagement level. And if the engagement level is not at the desired level, taking some corrective and preventive actions to bring that engagement at a desired level. And then handling their concerns, issues, and influencing them throughout the project. So that is a basic high-level expectation from the project manager. And during that topic, I keep reminding when we discuss stakeholder engagement related tasks that we should be finding stakeholders supporting the whole project execution. If you sense that I am the only one who is trying to do the things and nobody supporting me, maybe you are doing something wrong, because it's not your alone interest area. There are other people who are interested in the outcome of this project. Either you are not informing them, or you are not listening to them, or you are listening to the wrong people. So that's whole gambit of stakeholder engagement and analysis. And indirectly, that also involve one of the activities of mentoring, training, coaching. So say stakeholders are engaging them by way of training them about upcoming releases. So when you have an upcoming release, you conduct a training session, you set up a mentoring session, you identify a one go-to person for them so that they are comfortable using the new product. So the overall goal of a people domain, 42%, is relationship management only, having a healthy relationship with people only, and ensuring, because people are the one who are doing all the jobs, so project managers should be focusing on them all the time. So that's the clear-cut context of the PMP exam. So what parameter need to be considered if someone about make the team self-organized? So what is self-organized? Yeah, that has to be clarified. In a simple word, the self-organized means I can plan my work, I can execute my work, and I can meet my commitments. And I don't want, or I don't need rather than want, any assistance in helping me in achieving that. I get the goal and I get it done. And I can figure it out in between thing. In between, I don't need very specific guidance. Now, the whole idea of team level people management, relationship management topic in our PMP exam is creating this ability in the team all the time. Now, how do you do it? In our PMP exam, it's a context sensitive. So your team development stages, you first take them to a performing stage. You pass through your forming, storming, norming, and then you reach to a performing stage. In a performing stage, first, do you have a performing stage achieved? That's the first question, where team is collaborating well with each other and producing the desired result. So you take the Tuckman ladder there. Once it is there, then you start focusing on more and more delegation. Yeah. So you start delegating the work where they start taking their own decisions, and that helps them in making more and more accountable for their decisions. So as a project manager, my goal is that I take the team development path and I keep my team at a performing stage bare minimum, and then I take a back seat. I stop making decisions, I stop giving advices, and I rely on team figuring out what they should do. And if there is need, then I start doing coaching at that stage. Yeah. So that's the whole idea. So for a PMP exam perspective, how do we identify a situation where teaching, coaching is needed for the team? When we have it in the early stage before the project start? So this is a very important thing. Please don't think it's a one-time job. It is needed till the time your project finished. Even during the last lesson learned meeting, you may end up mentoring people. So our whole example or a process of PMP exam as a project manager role is we are focusing on long-term relationship. We are focusing on building people all the time. So that's the first thing we need to keep in mind. It is not a one-time job. Yes, as we are moving into our project, when we are moving from forming stage to a storming stage, we may have a more teaching related activities. We may have a more mentoring, coaching related activities because a lot of conflicts and issues are coming. But over a period of time, then also we need to continue doing coaching, teaching, mentoring. So that's a continuous process. Now, the another question could be, if I have a question in place for a PMP exam, how do I identify I should take a mentoring opportunity, teaching opportunity, or a coaching intervention? So go back to discussion which we did today. I said we can use KASH model, KASH, when the issue is about knowledge. You see the people are not even aware ABC of a topic. Then I need to give a training to them. Say, I want to learn a new subject. Before someone can share experience about that particular complex topic, I want to read a book about that topic, or I want to attend a formal training about that topic so that I have a basic vocabulary about it. I understand basic concepts about it. Now, the same thing I need to apply for my team members, something I want to communicate in my previous topic as well, but we can focus here, that if the gap is a knowledge, person doesn't even know what it is, I need to provide training. Simple. Now, once the training is provided, the person goes and trying to apply that thing. The person knows all the thing, all bookish knowledge is there. I have told someone how to prepare a project plan. Person understand all the terms. But when the person start preparing the project plan, they have a particular case in their hand and they are finding themselves, or the person is finding himself clueless. Then he goes to a mentor and the mentor says, can you help me in developing my project management skill? You can say, I'm a project manager, I can help you. I'm a fellow project manager. You can keep coming to me once in a week or once in a month, and I will help you in finding out where you are stuck. There the mentoring opportunity comes. Then the person comes with a specific need. The person comes with a, how do I handle these kind of risks? How do I handle these kind of people? How do I handle this? And you have a conversation and help them in doing it. That's a mentoring. So training and mentoring is easily identifiable. Now, the person who is coming to you is talking about some of the business domain area, like your sponsor or your business stakeholder, and you are not expert in it. But you believe the knowledge and skill problem is not there. Person knows what he or she is doing. So for example, someone comes and says, I'm finding difficult to prioritize my item, say product backlog. How do I prioritize my product backlog? Now you think, oh, don't you know the technique for product backlog prioritization? If that's the case, you do a train. There is a Moscow technique, there is a X technique, there is a Y technique, you teach that. Person says, no, I know all this technique. But after looking at these are the 3 items, I'm unable to find out which one is which. Can you help me in doing that? Now here, I also don't have that skill. I am not working in that particular domain. But I understand the person has all the knowledge, person is just unable to apply that knowledge. Yeah. So I have a knowledge, I have a competency, I am just getting blocked somewhere. Then I can do coaching. Okay, if you have to choose one out of these 3, which is the only thing you want to give to your customer, which one it is? Yeah. Or how can you think out the value of out of these 3 items? So then I'm doing pure coaching, because first I realize I have a limitation. I can't do a mentoring or teaching here. I'm not expert. Second, I also believe the person is capable enough to find out his or her own answer. So when I have a competency already given, I just need to unlock the competency. It is there in the lock. I do coaching. When the competencies need to be built, I do first training and then do a mentoring. That's a generic guidance I need to apply all the time as a project manager and also in the PMP exam questions. Yeah. So if the manager needs to focus more on coaching the team and get the successful deliverable, how to allocate time for other project management work, that's that is expected from the project manager to at least manage his own priorities. If me as a project manager is still struggling to manage my own priorities and allocation of my work, how will I help the whole team solve this problem? So say my team member also have a limited work. They will also have competing priorities. My stakeholder will also have a lot of competing priorities. Now, if I want to show an example to it, I must learn the skill of my own time management and priority management. And this is the lesson which I need to show by way of role modeling. So one of the essential work of a project manager is to demonstrate role modeling, or any leader to demonstrate as a role modeling. And I have a particular framework to identify priorities of it, criticality of it. I understand what helps me in doing my project value delivery. I show them if I have a 10 things to do, how do I choose the 2 things which gives the maximum impact for our project delivery. The overall goal is a value delivery. Yeah. So as we learned, deliver business value, focus on value. That's our principle as well. And we need to take care of our stakeholders and team members and be ready and flexible to change with ambiguity. So all those 12 principles of project management guides me. And with those guidance, I demonstrate them on a day-to-day basis. And that is needed as a project manager all the time. So you need to identify what is more valued. Yeah, why you're and if I can't demonstrate that, then I need to learn that first, because this is very, very critical for my team members as well. Now, if I'm struggling, I can go and take mentoring myself. I can take a mentoring. Maybe teaching is not a solution there. Teaching is focus on value. Then I need to take a mentoring and coaching myself and find the right mentor and coach in my PMO, so that I can learn that skill. So that could be a PMP exam question also, which may say that you are a project manager and you are struggling with applying right time management for yourself. What would you do? Yeah. So look for the option where you seek your own mentoring and coaching. Yeah. Don't go for training there. Go for mentoring and coaching. So similar to Agile coach, why there is no project coach in your organization? In fact, the organization want to learn project management externally. I don't know. This is not a PMP exam question. So I don't know which all organization has Agile coach nowadays, and which are not having Agile coach. The word might be different, but the coaching and mentoring is needed. As you brought a previous topic, if my project managers are struggling, I need a coaching and mentoring. And in fact, I was doing mentoring and coaching from last 3 days to one of the corporate organization where they don't have anyone called Agile coach, but they hired me, and I am that's a project management coaching, and I'm doing project management coaching for a while. Yeah, so I think that's all about the organization culture. We cannot make generalized, and there is no PMP exam saying it that you should have it or should not have it. We should stick to the area where we are handling, and we, in a situation wise, we need to focus on as we arise. Now, how to prepare a strategic roadmap for the entire portfolio management topic, nothing to do with the PMP exam. Not, I would say, that teaching all those theory of your BCG matrix and horizon 1, horizon 2, horizon 3 can help you, yeah, H1, H2 planning. But after doing those, the cash, the BCG matrix kind of ideas, or horizon 1, horizon 2, horizon 3 ideas, I think it will require more mentoring and coaching so that you understand this part of it. But for PMP exam, we don't have this topic. One can learn portfolio, and there they can get into it. Again, knowledge will be there, but the mentoring and coaching will be separate here. So that could be another PMP exam question. When someone comes to you and says, I want to learn something this, and you don't have a competency skills in it, what do you do? You tell that I don't have it. I manage expectation. And I say, this is out of scope for our conversation. If you want some assistance, I can help you to connect to the right person. So don't try to be educator and problem solver all the time. You need to focus on whatever is coming. Is it around my boundary of my role? And I need, because see, I'm expected to do a play here. I have a limited role here. If I try to do everything, I will be spoiling many things. So that's an important lesson we should keep for our PMP exam as well. So if something goes beyond my exam content outline, which is going beyond my project management competencies, say someone comes and says, how do I solve, how do I create a deployment architecture for my problem? I can say, okay, out of scope for me, but I can find a right person for you. Or someone comes, how do I increase sales for my company? Okay, out of scope for me, but probably we can work together to find out who can handle it. Someone says, how do I decide where should we invest in the next year? Strategic roadmap. Yeah, how much budget we should allocate for upcoming 3 years? Out of scope for me, I am handling current project budget only. I can probably point you where you can have a conversation with us. So these are very important things for a PMP exam as well, that we know what are our boundaries. So that's a great point. You need to know all these things. Good. So here we covered some of these areas related to mainly mentoring, teaching, coaching. If someone has some follow-up query, please type it. We can probably take it there. So what are the risk management stuff need to be considered for coaching? Will that impact the capacity of the team, finance, velocity? I'm not clear. If I'm talking to someone for a half an hour as a project manager, and I'm helping the person to improve their client communication, because the person is unable to negotiate well with the client, and I'm helping the person to learn how to speak with the client. Now, what could be a risk in that? Maybe risk is that I'm doing a wrong thing. Maybe I need to fire this person rather than developing it. But I think we don't have to think that way, at least for exam perspective. There is no risk relationship with the coaching, mentoring by default, until unless the question puts very weird situation in front of you. The reverse is possible. The reverse is that by way of doing coaching and mentoring, you are reducing the risk. So you see that this person is getting into conflicts every other day. These teams are getting into unpredictable schedule every other day. This person is creating mistakes every other day. I need to take care of it proactively by helping the person, by identifying training, mentoring, and coaching need, and improve the person's skills so that I mitigate the risk of the person end up doing the mistake again. So the proactive approach of helping people to learn new skills and finding and giving them right advices will help me in mitigating some of the possible risk. That's what I do. Now, if I see my thing itself is a risky, then probably I probably apply different risk mitigation stuff. So I don't want to go a little beyond this, because else you will just get in a loop. Yeah. So yes, helping people to talk is a good way to doing it. Now, what could be a risk in me teaching that person to talk? The person may don't want to listen me. That could be a people type of risk. For a project management, risk management space, I don't think that is qualified a nice risk for example. So we do it in order to be ready for value delivery. We are doing it because we are reducing the risk for value delivery. If you see that this activity itself produces secondary risk in our PMP exam, then I take care of it. Maybe secondary risk of maybe I train the person and he leaves the organization because he is very well educated now. There could be a secondary risk, but for an exam perspective, I better don't go into that much deep level until unless the question brings that particular thing that, okay, you may be creating a secondary risk because you are developing people. Yeah. By default, I just develop people. And I'm doing it because it helps me in developing and delivering my project deliverables well. Okay. So if you are watching us on LinkedIn, you can just type your question there. If you are here in the YouTube, you can type it here as well. We have another 15-20 minutes. We can take your queries if there are any. And Noor is back after a few weeks, I guess. Yeah. Noor, give the exam now, soon. How to make coaching effective in terms of explaining to the client so that we can get new business. No idea which particular task you are related to, because the PMP exam is not for learning sales ideas. So if you can rephrase the question and make it as a project management question, then I probably interfere there. If it is out of project management question, then probably I also say out of scope for my competency. Yeah. Because I'm not a guy who can help people selling well. I'm not a good salesman. So you can rephrase it and put it into a project management term, then we can see as a value added topic for the whole group, which is here. Okay, in the meantime, if anyone has a query, you can also put it in the text and we can probably talk about it. I think for today we are good. We are done with project management topic. Yeah. Okay, this is good. So my coach disliked me for personal reason. How do I earn his trust? So I convert it into a project management question. Yeah. So it's like this, that I have a particular stakeholder and we have some bad experience with that stakeholder before. And because of that, that stakeholder avoids me. Yeah. Yeah. Or that person avoids me. And I'm a project manager and I need to get a support from that stakeholder. Yeah. Then how do I handle that? Yeah. Then it will be a good question. Yeah. It could be a PMP exam question as well. So actually, it's a very dynamic thing. It really depends upon what is your style of working, what is your competency, what kind of dislike the person has, what kind of like the person has, and what could be a common ground where you can come together and find some place. Now, but I am handling it as a limited scope for PMP exam. So what could be good answers, yeah, for that? So the good answers probably could be, I try to establish some smoothing kind of conflict resolution techniques. So it's a conflict which is not resolved. So smoothing is focus on the area of agreement rather than focusing on area of disagreement, probably. That's a good idea. The second good idea could be I become more clear and fact oriented in my communication. So we build the trust based on the data and then we can have a conversation about it. Yeah. So for an exam perspective, I can think that people are rational and after some time they will behave rationally. That's a basic assumption. In the real world, it may take multiple months before the rational behavior can come back if someone has went to emotional behavior, but I focus on this. Then the third possible good answer is, which is also spoke about, emotional intelligence for our PMP exam. So say we need to focus on emotional intelligence where I empathize with the person. So I start feeling what the person is feeling. I start understanding what are my behavior possibly resulting into this behavior. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, one of the way of looking at emotional intelligence is other people reactions has something to do with me also. So they are mirroring something which I am doing. So I do an emotional intelligence self-reflection to find out what are the triggers which I am creating, which might be resulting into person behaving in that particular way. So I try to smoothing the thing. Good idea. I do my self-assessment to find out what trigger I am generating. But before I do a self-assessment, I do an empathy with that person. I think like that person. So empathizing with the person, talking to him or without talking to him, you can think like his character, and then you find out how can we move forward with the conversation. So these are the some of the good answers you can use in order to find the right behavior to get a collaboration from the stakeholder. And we had some conversation talking about relationship management. That's a good idea. That's a very, very good question which can come in the exam. So can we have a session for agile coaches as well? So usually the agile coaches are far higher, so they don't have a specific question like this. PMP exam is a limited scope, so we talk. But we can bring some questions if there are. Usually once in a month, we do open-ended conversation where we talk anything. So last Friday of the month, we keep it open, more or less, little bit about this time we start. And there we can talk about anything, yeah. That's the place where we can bring those kind of query, because dedicated session for coaches, we don't get participants because coaches are already high. So they don't have a question. People who are giving PMP exam, they have a question because they need to make sure that they do something so the exam get passed. Yeah. So in order to get a new business, how to coach the stakeholder or client who has a zero knowledge on technical capability or project management capability. So you are saying, how do I demonstrate project management capability? Training. Yeah. So the whole idea is when we are moving from a one stage to another stage. For example, we have built a capability. Yeah, we have built a capability of producing some type of report, some type of tool, some type of management, etc., etc. We have built some capability. Now, how do I make sure my salespeople know about those capabilities so that they can go and sell it? So then I need to focus on first training. We demonstrate those capabilities to them, make them ready about the knowledge of the product. So we have developed a product or competency. We need to demonstrate that. And then we need to assign a dedicated mentor or a help desk. Whenever they have an issue, when they go get a feedback or anything, they can come to us and we can clarify it. So that part is a enabling change with the stakeholder by way of training, mentoring only. So you have developed something. How do I make people use it? Use it could be for self, use it for selling outside, depending upon who are the stakeholder. Say we have developed a product and the stakeholders are expected to sell that product. Yeah, but they are clueless about the product. They don't know the competency about the product. So I may not be having intelligence about the partnership model, the pricing model, the right marketing approach. Those areas will be done somewhere by someone. But our focus would be that do we educate people about the competency of the product, what deliverable we have produced, do we demonstrate them, what kind of problems can come, and do we have a one place, go-to place where we can solve it. You also need to remember from a PMI perspective, any value delivery is a system value delivery. So system approach for project management has been, or value delivery has been promoted in our PMBOK 7. So what does it mean? It means just one component of the system, which is project, may not be able to deliver the value. You have a project, you have operations, you have overall organization strategy, overall organization systems in place. All of them have to come together in order to achieve the deliverable. And the project manager may not be owning the whole system. So when I have created a product, I can't make the product sell high. Yeah, I need to understand that's a limitation in me, because selling high depends upon how our customer support teams are trained, how our sales teams are collaborative, how well they can handle it, what kind of marketing channels we are using, what kind of partners we are working with. Depending upon the context, there could be other element of the system. So I understand there is a system in place. I alone can't handle it. But at the same time, I also have a role in that system by way of training, mentoring on my area of work so that people are capable of selling those things. Yeah, so that's the idea. Great. So yes, nice summarization. So focus on smoothing of the relationship, active listening, empathizing with the person, and then reflecting on my behavior and stop doing those behaviors which might be creating the triggers. Yeah, it may take time in a real world because the person keeps seeing you from the previous classes, but you are changing yourself and it may take some time before the person can recognize the change. So in a real world, don't expect quick results, but in the exam, this is a perfect answer. Okay, similar to user story mapping to make stakeholder to get a clear understanding of the project task and triage meeting of the issue area discussion. What are the other KPIs? So KPI is a word you use for key performance indicator. I am unable to see the relationship with the user story mapping and a triage meeting, which is basically for a prioritization for the KPIs. So probably you want to reframe the question and we can take. Mentor and coach with some example. If you suggest when to use either of these quality, okay. We try it again. Yeah, I tried to do it, but yeah, okay, let's do it again. You are a new engineer. You don't know how to code. Yeah, you never learned something called Java. Your organization sent to a Java class. You came back and now you can run Hello World program. Your training has been achieved. But when you start working in a real Java work, you struggle. You don't know how to do an exception handling. You don't know how to really debug the problem. You find difficulty in handling various problems. Then you started working with a senior expert who is expert in Java. And this person keeps helping you in fixing some of your problem. When he fixes problems to you, he help you to see how to put at checkpoints, how to make a good use of debugger, how to make these things, how to create an error log, how to read various exception codes. And you learn that 101. And you can say we are working together for 5 months and 6 months. And by doing it, I became a good programmer. That's a mentoring activity. Yeah. Pure mentoring activity. Yeah, there. Now, coaching. I know how to code. That all is there. But whenever the lot of exception comes, I get little irritated and I find difficult to concentrate my mind on that particular problem because I have a habit of picking up something else whenever I get stopped. And because of that, I have multiple items in progress and I don't finish things. Now, I know I can finish it. I know how to code. I know we should have a limited item. So there is no lack of knowledge, but this is my attitude. This is my habit now. I don't finish things and keep opening things again and again. Then I need to work with a coach, or then a coaching kind of intervention is needed. Maybe the same guy who was mentoring me can also coach. And the coach is not telling you what to do. Coach is helping you in understand, okay, what happens? Why you are going to the coach and saying, everybody's the people are unhappy from me. I'm doing my best effort, but they keep complaining I'm not finishing the work. Yeah. Then coach helps you to reflect on your behavior. You can say, okay, what is happening, why it is happening, what can you do differently about it, what do you think is the problem? And while talking to the coach, you discover that my problem is I keep switching the jobs and I have a difficulty in sticking to one area. Now if I improve that, I can improve my delivery. So that conversation is a coaching conversation, and you got a learning that, okay, now the person has not told you, person has not explained you how to do debugging, the person has not explained you how to talk to the stakeholder, how to do your day plan. The person has not taught you anything, yeah, or given you any advice. But while talking to this, you figured that out, and that becomes a coaching activity. Yeah. So hopefully that clarifies. Yeah, it is true for our generic conversations also, not to only for PMP exam. As we had some query about agile coaching, yes, this is a critical topic in our agile coaching content as well, and we can definitely use it for our project management as well. Okay, just like a story mapping and triage, what are the other matrices need to be used as a tool to communicate with a stakeholder? So I would say this user story mapping, triage meeting is a facilitated workshop. You should not be pointing them as a matrix. They are part of they are tool for doing requirement exploration. Yeah. Matrices are the tools to show where do we stand and where we are heading and what should we do differently. So these are the tools to have a collaboration. So now there are two things. What kind of collaboration activities we can do? If I say story mapping and triage meeting, milestone review, facilitated workshop, customer demos, stakeholder demos, training activities together, some kind of knowledge sharing event, all these are equivalent to facilitated workshop like story mapping. When you talk about matrices, we have a big set of matrices. We talk about that we need to, depending upon the context. For example, if it's an agile context, we talk about release burn-down chart. We talk about working software, the demonstration of the product, demo. So demo will be a good matrix. Showing the incremental product will be a good matrix in irrespective of life cycle. And you can do it in an iteration review. You can do it in a milestone review. Yeah, so that's a thing. In a predictive life cycle, the constraint matrices will be more popular. They will be focusing on variances because they have baseline things. In the adaptive life cycle, rather than constraint metrics, they're checking the reality metrics, where we are, how the product looks like, how the people feels, how much money we have spent by now. So current data is a more matrix, and then based on some high level forecast based on that. So facilitated workshop is a one thing. KPIs and matrices are the other thing. Good. I think great, guys. So thank you for your participation. I was wondering because this weekend is a long weekend, so I was worried. Thanks for coming in, and no special thanks. A lot of questions, a lot of great ideas. So thank you for making this session interactive. And we do have another session next week. We will pick up some tasks. I will update soon. And great. Have a nice time. Thank you.